All right, we're back. I just shot a quick 6-minute podcast while I took a little bit of a break. I guess that was my break, shooting the podcast. And what did I do when I was gone? Well, basically, I didn't do much drawing on the podcast. I basically just talked about edges and modeling factors, which you guys probably heard me say 14 times already. What did I do drawing-wise while I wasn't filming this? I really put in some serious dark over here. Now, the whole thing with the dark, you've got to have dark to show light. And as soon as I've done the dark, the drawing's just starting to come off the page a little bit more. And what I basically spoke about on the podcast was this is where I want my hardest edge. Now, I believe I've already said that to you. And this is where I want most of my contrast. So I'm trying to do a nice dark value up here in the background. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do texture or it's just going to be like a tone. But then I'm kind of coming on down over here and I'm gradating down. I want to lose an edge. I'm not quite sure. Believe it or not, I'm still not quite sure how I'm going to handle this area. I kind of like it dark over there. I could go a little bit darker with all of this. Let me actually just do that right now. But I kind of do dig this area. I'm not going to go dark. I like this line over here. And I have minimal line in this drawing. So there's a lot of goodies going on over here in this photo and from life. And that is the one thing I should have mentioned on that podcast, was that I was primarily doing this from life, because my measurements here are not the same as the measurements over there. And that's okay. We'll let that go. So basically I got beautiful line over here, convex line. See, this is what most people that do the CastDrawing style this way, it's all soft and they're not into doing any line whatsoever. They really run the risk, a lot of people, of making their drawings look like cotton. And so the way that the antidote to the cottony look is, watch your edges, make sure you have a nice balance of hard and soft edges. But the convex line is the other antidote to overly soft, fuzzy type drawings. You don't want to have them too soft and fuzzy. I think some of the drawings that I've seen at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, some of the paintings, they're almost like studies. They're so soft and fuzzy, but they look the most realistic. And I think it's nice just in one or two parts of your drawing to throw in line. And line is awesome. Like just bringing this in very lightly just loosens everything up. Now it almost loosens it up to where it doesn't look like a statue anymore. It looks more like a person. Probably do more of the convex line. I'll do less of it on the statue, but this area over here is a very important area. I'll do more of it here. Now, basically, I looked for some big ticket items over here with this chipped neck. Like I saw that this was going right across, and I adjusted a little bit. Now basically all I've been doing here is just adjusting and doing angles. And I felt like this whole neck area thing was just too big. I'm just going to come on in now and do a little bit. At this point in the drawing, I'm working the whole drawing at once. I am so not clinging to one area. And this is just all, this section here is all about matching values. And I'm looking at all these values in here, little side planes. This area has gotten a little bit muddy, the neck. I don't know how I'm going to do that because it's very tiny to get in there with a kneaded eraser. But I'll play with it. Worst case scenario, I could introduce white chalk into this drawing. I don't know if I want to do that. And just how do you get texture? Texture is a different pencil stroke. So over here I'm kind of going long pencil strokes. Over here I'm going short and chiseled. Very short and chiseled because it's chipped. And so I'm trying to get that chipped feel to it. Now, there seems to be some areas over here that I need to work with my eraser. But the one area that I kind of like is this area. This is my favorite part of the drawing right now. Let's just kind of push it a little bit more. A little bit of modeling factors, not going black. Oh yeah, I just discovered a little bit more here now. Just looking at where this breast is touching. I don't know if the light changed in here or what, but I'm seeing a little bit more clarity in terms of the cast shadow shape. And I'm going to work on this a little bit more with my pencil. I just don't want that breast to, come off the page big time. I want it to sit on the torso a little bit more. Let's punch this up a little bit. Just so our edges, I was talking about edges on the podcast. Some of your hardest edges could be on the interior. I'm going to put a little bit of an edge over here. Make this come forward. And let's work with the eraser a touch. Just going to round this. Bit of a harder edge. And now this is very skinny. There's a little rim light. This could flatten my drawing out, so I'm going to put it in, and then I kind of like that texture there. Little bit of a skinny light. You're seeing it right there in the photo. I'm doing it with the eraser, and the eraser is kind of frumpy and fat. So I'm going to have to go on in there with my pencil point and really kind of make it skinny, that light. I don't want it big. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do some work on that with my pencil. Little side plane, catching light. And part of me even wants to go over this with the eraser and then go back on top of it with the pencil so I get the similar texture as down there. Just pull out a little bit. I think what I'm going to do soon, probably I'm going to move on to texture soon, because I'm already getting into texture. I think we've refined enough now. Let's get into texture, because I think the next step is for me to get into the fabric, into here, and then I'll keep coming back to the torso. But maybe what I can do is just, we've got like a minute or so left, I'm just going to make this a little wider. Oh yeah, it is so time for texture. Okay. Because that's what I'm like kind of dying to get into. So what I'm going to do is soften some of this. I want to keep the same feel all the way around. Yeah, that's what we're going to do next. Next chapter is going to be texture.